What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news. And of course it is Thursday, so it's time for This Week at Bungie. And they do give us some pretty interesting details about how they're going to be changing ghosts inside of Beyond Light. So Bungie are going to be increasing the amount of customization that we have on ghost shells, including energy levels and access to mods with various energy costs. And then they talk about new mods coming from various different gameplay sources. So that's pretty interesting, but also they talk about a memorial quest that we'll be getting in-game, a hotfix next week, and then a couple of other known issues and updates. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoy this one, but without further delay, let's get into it. First up today, new bug here, but Bungie tweeted, due to the extended season, clans can no longer gain XP, and Hawthorne's weekly challenge can no longer be completed. Our investigation found that trying to fix these issues could result in all clans losing their earned ranks, so the issue will be fixed on November 10th. And DMG said this came from the season extension, and sadly the fix would end up making the issue worse. And so Clan XP will be back on the menu with Beyond Light. And so a bit of a mess up there with the ending of the season and the timing change specifically, but something to bear in mind and give us your thoughts in the comment section. But now getting into the twab portion of the video, and Bungie talk about customizable ghosts that we'll be seeing in Beyond Light. So they say they have some changes planned for floaty friends in the expansion in November, and they say they've always been important partners to our Guardians, but they haven't received any meaningful updates in quite some time, and to allow them to truly shine, they've decided it's time for a bit of an overhaul. So in terms of what to expect from Ghost Shell functionality in Beyond Light, they say they will now have energy levels and access to mods with various energy costs, instead of being preloaded with specific perks. This treatment has been applied to all ghosts outside of the Generalist shell, so that you can use your favourite ghost shells regardless of tier. And a selection of mods will be available on all ghost shells by default, while the remaining ones will be obtainable via various gameplay sources. And information on where to find these mods can be learned from collections, so they'll appear in the collections tab like other mods. And ghost mods will be obtained from gameplay reward loops and will not be purchasable from Eververse. Of course, that's an important one. But then finally, they will have 4 mod slots, and 3 of them are unlocked by default, with the 4th one being unlocked by masterworking the ghost shell. It certainly sounds interesting, but they say one of the goals with the update was to separate visuals from functionality, and so whether we purchase a ghost shell from Eververse or earn it from the newest raid, the ghost will have access to all of the same mods across the account. But they expand on the mod slots specifically, so of course they get 4 mod slots, each of them with their own unique mod selection. So there will be an experience mod slot, a tracking slot, an economic mod slot, and an activity mod slot. They say the last of which will be unlocked when the ghost is masterworked at 10 energy. We'll be able to mix and match mods from these categories, of course with respect to energy limits, so very much works like armor in that respect. And for example, they say a Crucible-focused player who wants to grind out materials and earn XP towards their season rewards might choose Guiding Light, Meager Glimmer Booster, and Lesser Core Harvest for the Crucible, but there are a variety of different combinations that can be set up. And they say for those wondering what will happen to old ghost perks, most of them have been brought forward, largely unchanged, as default unlocked mods. In some cases, such as the destination-specific material or cache trackers, those mods have been transformed into globally effective, non-destination-specific versions of themselves for better utility. And they say the energy costs will now reflect the increased flexibility in the mods must be earned from various vendor engrams. And so that's interesting, perhaps they'll sit in certain loot pools, unless of course they are talking about brand new types of engram, although I would imagine they sit in loot pools that they'll make for Beyond Light. And they say even with the changes, we'll still be able to build most of the popular exotic perk combinations that were available previously, such as Guiding Light and Treasure Hunter, with a plethora of new combinations. And so we can see Blinding Light as a mod right here with 6 energy cost, and you get increased XP gains by 12%. We can also see that the mod is fragile and will expire at the end of Season 15, so it looks like they will have that kind of sunset element. We're not sure if that's going to last an entire year and correlate with the rest of the gear in the game, or whether they can simply be re-earned or something in a different season. But we also have Greater Core Harvest, and this is a Vanguard mod. And so presumably coming from those Vanguard engrams, and defeating bosses in Vanguard playlist strikes or Nightfalls has a chance to award an enhancement prism. And that's an idea of a Masterwork mod that we could get on a 10 energy ghost shell. So it definitely adds another dimension to ghost shells in general. I think it looks like a positive change, and of course means potentially that you could make any of your favorite ghost shells into a kind of god roll ghost shell or have those bonuses that you really want. So definitely give us your thoughts about it down in the comment section. But moving on in the TWAB, Bungie say honouring a friend, and next week they're going to have a tribute going live in game to honour one of Bungie's dear friends at Vicarious Visions who passed away last year, Matt Helsam. And so the weekly reset will include a director message that will send you to Mars for a short quest to honour Mr. Helsam. He worked closely with the teams at both Bungie and Vicarious Visions on various projects during their partnership, and they say they wanted to memorialise his contributions in the Destiny universe. And so that's definitely a very cool thing to do right there. Definitely look forward to learning more about that one next week and look out for it on Tuesday's reset. And Bungie say that there will be a hotfix next week. And of course, on September 22nd, D2 will become available on the Xbox Game Pass at 8 AM PDT. However, players won't be able to access Forsaken or Shadowkeep until 10 AM PDT, and that's when the hotfix will go live. So we can see at 8 AM, maintenance will begin, and then the game's being brought offline at 8:45 AM. But at 10, the hotfix will drop, and players should be able to sign back in. So bear that in mind, and of course that'll be bringing some of that new data into the game. Also next week, they say at the end of TWAB that we will be seeing triple Infamy, so if you fancy grinding any of that stuff out, next week will be your next best opportunity. Now though, onto some other updates, and DMG did point out that players have been speaking about the truth to power law, specifically with it being associated with the Chronicler title. Similar to Sleeper Nodes, some players had asked if there are likely to be any changes. DMG said at this time, no changes are being planned for the ritual, nor acquisition of these lore pieces, and as such, this may put Chronicler out of arm's reach for some players. And so thanks everyone for the feedback. But of course, Chronicler is one of the titles that are being completely removed from the game in terms of acquisition, so if you can't pick it up before November, it will no longer be a thing that you can actually earn in the game. And Bungie previously had told us that they've added to that list Shadow, Reckoner, Blacksmith, Wayfarer, and the Season 5 through Season 11 titles. But DMG does add that as we enter a world with content cycling in and out of the Destiny content vault, we will look to be much more proactive in messaging which things will become unavailable. And of course, those are the things that we're starting to see in the UI, but also the help articles and lists that Bungie have given to us. So it's another element that will be affected, and feel free to give us any of your thoughts about that down below. But as we've spoken about also recently, Luke Smith had teased about gilded titles or having multiple different levels for titles. So that is another potential rework that we are going to see. Something else to mention, but a few days ago, a rumor began to circulate that Microsoft had been in talks to acquire Bungie multiple times. And according to that rumor, the deal fell through because Bungie's price was too high, but Pete Parsons and other folks from Bungie did come out and say that the rumor is false, so just in case you hear any crazy stuff about goings on at Bungie, at least according to them, it isn't true. But of course, some of that speculation could potentially come from the fact that Bungie have obviously got some kind of deal, having Destiny be one of the primary launch titles for the Series X, older expansions going on Game Pass and things like that. There's definitely a relationship there, but maybe folks are reading into it a little bit too much. A final thing worth mentioning right here is that Bungie have added the Empathetic Ghost Shell collectible pin to the Bungie store, and this is actually a Bungie Foundation drop. You can get all of the details on the website and the blog post, but of course all of the profits support the Bungie Foundation, who then support children in need via various different charities. But they've got the new collectible Empathetic Ghost Shell pin, and if you pick it up, you'll get an exclusive emblem in game alongside that, called Benevolent Hue, and we get a quick preview of it right here. So if that's something you also want to check out, I will have the link for it down in the description box below. But for today, guys, that is what we have to talk about inside of this video. So as always, some interesting discussions, and feel free to hit us up in the comment section with your thoughts. But if you've enjoyed this one, a rating really does help me out, and be sure to get subscribed so I can keep you posted on the world of Destiny 2. But otherwise, whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.